The studio lights, usually a source of warmth and energy, felt suddenly clinical and exposing. It was a typical Tuesday morning on Live with Kelly and Mark Consuelos, a show built on a foundation of effortless banter, shared glances that spoke volumes, and the comfortable rhythm of a 28-year marriage played out in public. The audience, a sea of expectant faces, was ready for their daily dose of levity. But on this morning, they witnessed something far more raw and real. Kelly Ripa, the consummate professional whose energy could power the Manhattan skyline, was struggling. The spark in her eyes was dimmed by a sheen of unshed tears. The conversation, which had begun with the usual playful jabs, turned to her husband and co-host, Mark Consuelos. He was absent, a fact initially explained with a vague, "not feeling well." But as Kelly tried to articulate the reality of his condition, the carefully constructed wall between their public and private lives crumbled. Her voice, usually a confident instrument, wavered. A single, traitorous tear escaped, tracing a path down her cheek before she quickly brushed it away. The studio fell into a stunned silence. This was not a scripted moment for a rating sweep. This was a fissure of genuine fear and love. It's been scary," she admitted, her words hanging in the air, heavy with unspoken worry. "He's going to be okay, but it's a real thing, a serious thing." In that moment, Kelly Ripa was not a television star. She was a wife terrified for the health of the man she loved. This article is the story behind that tear. It's an exploration of the painful health update, the man at the center of the storm, the woman holding the fort, and the profound lessons about love, vulnerability, and resilience that their ordeal imparts. To understand the gravity of Kelly's on-air emotion, one must first understand the depth of the bond between Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos. Theirs is not a Hollywood marriage of convenience. It is a partnership forged in the specific, chaotic fire of daytime television and nurtured over nearly 3 decades. The year was 1995. Kelly was playing the vivacious Haley Vaughn on the iconic soap opera All My Children. Mark Consuelos, a fresh-faced actor with smoldering eyes, auditioned for the role of her on-screen love interest, Mateo Santos. The chemistry was not just immediate, it was explosive and, by Kelly's own admission, dangerous. In her memoir, she recounted her first thought upon seeing his audition tape: "I'm going to marry that man." It was a prescient, almost fated recognition. Their courtship was a whirlwind conducted in the intense, insulated world of a soap opera set. Mark, the son of Italian and Spanish immigrants, was grounded and fiercely private. Kelly, the effervescent girl from New Jersey, was a rising star. They were opposites that complemented perfectly. In 1996, during a secret trip to Las Vegas, they eloped. It was a decision that spoke to their commitment to each other above all else, a private pact in a very public world. For years, Kelly balanced her role on Live, then with Regis Philbin, with raising their 3 children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin. Mark built a respected career in television with shows like Riverdale and established his own production company. They were a power couple, but their power was derived from their palpable, genuine connection. When Mark officially joined Live as Kelly's co-host in 2023, it felt less like a professional decision and more like a natural culmination. The show became a daily, hour-long window into a real, working marriage, a rare and precious commodity in the entertainment industry. Their on-air dynamic was the show's engine. Kelly, the effervescent, sometimes chaotic, always hilarious force of nature. Mark, the steady, dry-witted, sexy silver fox anchor. He was her straight man, her biggest fan, and the only person who could gently tease her without causing offense. Their love was the show's unshakable foundation, which is why when one pillar showed a crack, the entire structure trembled. The segment began innocuously enough, a viewer question about handling stress when a family member is ill. Kelly took a breath, and the professional mask she had worn for the first 20 minutes of the show began to slip. "It's funny you should ask that," she started, her voice losing its performative lilt. "Because Mark, as you know, he's not here today." She explained that what was initially thought to be a bad cold or flu had escalated. Doctors had diagnosed him with a severe case of walking pneumonia, compounded by a debilitating sinus infection. She detailed the symptoms that frightened her: the racking, persistent cough that left him breathless, the high fever that seemed untamable, the profound fatigue that rendered the normally vibrant man bedridden. "He's a strong guy," she said, her voice cracking. "He never complains. So when he says he can't get out of bed, you know it's bad. You know it's real." The camera closed in on her face. The tear was not for dramatic effect. It was a release of pent-up anxiety, of sleepless nights spent listening to his labored breathing, of the terrifying helplessness that comes when the rock of your family is vulnerable. It's been scary," she whispered, her words hanging in the air, heavy with unspoken worry. "He's going to be okay, but it's a real thing, a serious thing." To fully grasp the severity, it's important to understand the condition. Walking pneumonia, or atypical pneumonia, is a less severe form of the lung infection. The term walking is misleading. It implies the person is fine. In reality, it means the symptoms are often less dramatic than full-blown pneumonia, but they can be incredibly persistent and draining. Symptoms include a persistent cough, sore throat, headache, and fatigue that can last for weeks. For someone like Mark, who likely pushed through early symptoms due to work commitments and a tough-it-out mentality, it could easily have worsened. When combined with a severe sinus infection, which causes immense pressure, pain, and congestion, the body's immune system is fighting a war on two fronts. The result is total systemic exhaustion. This wasn't a simple cold. It was a cascading health failure that demanded surrender and rest. Kelly's breakdown was not just about Mark's illness. It was also about the immense weight she was carrying. In that moment, she embodied the universal struggle of the caregiver. The invisible labor of care. While the world saw a glamorous talk show host, off-camera, Kelly was playing the role of a worried wife and nurse. This chapter would delve into the unglamorous reality of caregiving, the constant monitoring of temperature, the ensuring of medication schedules, the preparing of broths and teas, the sleepless nights listening for a cough or a call for help. It's a labor of love, but it is labor, exhausting, emotionally taxing, and often performed in a state of low-grade panic. She was also managing the household, likely fielding concerned calls from their children, and putting on a brave face for the public. The pressure to maintain normalcy, especially when your job is to be publicly on, is immense. Her tear on air was the pressure valve releasing. It was the admission that she too was tired. She too was scared. She too was not invincible. While Kelly was the public face of the crisis, Mark's absence was equally eloquent. This chapter explores the experience from his perspective, pieced together from Kelly's descriptions and an understanding of his personality. The burden of the strong one. Mark Consuelos has always been portrayed as the rugged, stable, masculine anchor of the family. Men socialized into this role often feel a deep-seated obligation to be the protector, not the protected. To be laid low by an illness, to be dependent on others for basic needs, can be a blow to the identity. His silence during this time was likely not just about recuperation, but also about processing this vulnerability. The walking part of his pneumonia was over. He had been forced to stop, to lie down, and to concede that his body had limits. A forced pause in a life of motion. For a man with his career trajectory, acting, producing, now co-hosting a daily talk show, this illness was a forced and unwelcome pause. It was a stark reminder from his own body that the relentless pace was unsustainable. This period of convalescence, while frightening, may have also been a necessary, if brutal, intervention. It was a time to truly rest, not just physically, but mentally, to step away from the scripts, the meetings, the camera, and the constant performance of public life. The health scare sent ripples far beyond their New York apartment. The children's perspective. How did Michael, Lola, and Joaquin process seeing their invincible father brought low? As young adults, they are at an age where they are reevaluating their parents as people, not just as caregivers. This event likely accelerated that process, fostering a new layer of maturity and concern. The family group chat, once filled with jokes and plans, was now a hub for medical updates and words of encouragement, tightening the familial bond in the face of adversity. The public response was immediate and overwhelmingly supportive. Social media was not a place of gossip, but of a collective digital embrace. Thousands of